An 8-year-old boy saw three men planning something bad. He ran to the Bandidos biker who was selling his motorcycle and whispered, "Drive away, it's a trap." What happened next was surprising. But let's go back to the beginning. Ethan Hartley wasn't supposed to hear any of it. He was just cleaning tables at his mom's small restaurant on the edge of town. The kind of place truck drivers stopped at for coffee and local people stayed away from after dark. His mom, Diana, owned the place. Or more truly, the place owned her. It was all she had. The restaurant, a small room in the back where they slept, and barely enough money to pay the bills. And every week, like a clock, three men came in. They didn't order food. They took safety money, they called it. Diana paid, hands shaking, because she had no choice. Ethan knew their faces. He knew their voices. And that morning, when they sat in the corner booth whispering about a trick, he knew exactly who they were talking about. The leader's name was Vincent, tall, with sharp eyes, always wearing a leather jacket that tried too hard to look scary. He leaned forward, voice low, but clear enough for Ethan to hear pieces while he wiped the table next to them. "He's coming at 11 wak. Thinks he's selling the bike. We close the deal. I step out, signal the boys. They grab him, throw him in the van." "Easy," one of the others laughed quietly. "What about the club?" "That's the point," Vincent said. "We take their leader. We send a message. Either they leave town or we make it worse." Ethan froze. His hands held the cloth tighter. He'd seen the Bandidos bikers before, riding through town in a line, engines roaring, leather vests with signs that showed they were a team. They didn't bother anyone. They didn't take money. They just existed, loud and bold. And these men hated them for it. Ethan looked at his mom behind the counter. She was pouring coffee for a driver. Her face was tired. Her movements were like a machine. She didn't hear. She never heard. She was too busy working to survive. The men kept talking. They talked about the details, the motorcycle ad online, the meeting time, the fake interest. The black van parked 2 blocks away. Ethan's chest felt tight. He wanted to say something, but to whom? His mom. She'd tell him to stay out of it. The police. They didn't help people like them. He was 8 years old, hidden in a world that didn't notice kids like him. So he stayed quiet. He listened and he waited. At 10:55, the sound of a motorcycle began to fill the air, deep, loud, and very clear. Ethan's heart jumped. He looked out the window. A man got off a black motorcycle, boots hitting the ground with strength, tall with broad shoulders, wearing a leather vest with the Bandidos biker sign on the back. His name was James Crawford, though Ethan didn't know that yet. All he knew was that this man was about to walk into a trap. James pushed open the restaurant door. The bell above it rang. Vincent stood up immediately, a fake smile on his face, hand held out. "You must be the guy with the motorcycle." "That's me," James said. His voice was calm and steady. He shook Vincent's hand and sat in the booth across from him. Ethan moved closer, pretending to wipe a nearby table. His hands were shaking. "Beautiful bike," Vincent said. "Check the numbers." "Everything is good. I'm ready to buy if you are." James nodded. "Cash," Vincent confirmed. He pulled out an envelope and set it on the table. 12,000. Count it if you want." James didn't count it. He just looked at Vincent, studying him the way a man learns to study people when he has to be careful. "You got the ownership papers ready?" "In my car," Vincent said, standing up. "Give me 2 minutes. I'll grab them, and we're done." Ethan's stomach felt sick. That was the signal. Vincent was going outside to call the others. The boy's eyes looked at the window. 2 men were leaning against a black van parked across the street waiting. Vincent walked toward the door. Time slowed down. Ethan's mind raced. If he didn't do something, the biker was going to be taken. And if the Bandidos bikers came looking for their leader, this restaurant, his home, would be in the middle of a fight. He didn't think. He just moved. Ethan crossed the room in 4 quick steps. James looked up, surprised to see the kids standing next to the booth. Ethan leaned in close enough that only James could hear. His voice was a whisper, tight with fear. "Drive away. It's a trap. They're going to take you." James's face didn't change, but something moved in his eyes. He looked at Ethan for a long second, then out the window at the van. Back to Ethan. The boy's face was white, his hands were trembling, but his eyes were serious and honest. James reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He sent one message with 3 words. Help needed now. Ethan stepped back. His heart was beating so hard he thought everyone could hear it. Vincent was still outside, phone to his ear, his back turned. James stood up slowly, calm and in control. He picked up the envelope of cash, put it into his jacket, and walked toward the door. Outside, Vincent turned around. His smile went away when he saw James coming out. Change of plans, James said simply. What? Vincent's eyes became narrow. Where are you going? James didn't answer. He put his leg over the motorcycle and started the engine. The sound was a roar, a warning, and a loud call. Vincent stepped forward, but before he could say another word, the street filled with the sound of more engines. 6, 8, 10 motorcycles, all Bandidos bikers, rolling up from both ends of the street. They surrounded the restaurant like a wall of leather and metal. Vincent's face went white. The 2 men by the van ran, trying to get inside, but the bikes blocked them. One of the bikers, a woman with a mark on her cheek, got off her bike and walked straight up to Vincent. You got something to say? Vincent shook. This is a mistake. Yeah, she said. It is. You made a mistake about who you were dealing with. James looked back at the restaurant. Through the window, he saw Ethan standing by the booth, eyes wide, watching. Their eyes met. James gave a single nod. The boy had saved him. Vincent and his men didn't stay. They backed off, got in the van, and drove away fast. The Bandidos bikers didn't follow. They didn't need to. The message was clear. James turned off the engine. He walked back inside the restaurant. Diana was behind the counter, frozen and confused. Ethan stood in the middle of the floor, still shaking. James stopped in front of him. What's your name? Ethan, the boy whispered. You have courage, kid. James looked at Diana. Your son just saved my life. Diana's face went white. What are you talking about? James didn't explain. He just looked at Ethan again. You know who those men were? Ethan nodded. They'll know it was you, James said quietly. They'll come back. Ethan's chest felt tight. He knew. He'd known the second he whispered those words, but he'd done it anyway. James pulled a card from his pocket and set it on the counter. If they do, you call me. Do you understand? Diana picked up the card, her hands shaking. She didn't say anything. She didn't know what to say. James turned and walked out. The other bikers were already getting on their bikes. Engines roared to life one after another, and they rode off together, leaving nothing but the smell of smoke and the loud sound of engines. Ethan stood in the empty restaurant, his hands still shaking. He'd done something big and something dangerous, and he had no idea what would happen next. He didn't know that by tomorrow everything he feared would come back. Before we continue, have you ever seen something wrong and stayed silent? Or did you speak up like Ethan did? Tell us from which city you're watching. The knock came the next morning. Diana was wiping the counter when she heard it. 3 sharp knocks on the door. The restaurant wasn't open yet. The sun had barely come up. Ethan was still asleep in the small room they shared in the back, the one with the hole in the ceiling and the bed they'd found at a cheap store 3 years ago. She froze, cloth in her hand, staring at the door. Vincent stood on the other side of the glass. 2 men were next to him. Their faces were hard and cold. Vincent wasn't smiling anymore. Diana's hands started shaking. She'd been scared of this moment since yesterday, since Ethan whispered those words to the biker, since everything changed. She unlocked the door. The bell rang as Vincent pushed inside. Morning, Diana, he said. His voice was calm, but there was a sharp and dangerous tone to it. We're not open yet, she said quietly. I'm not here for breakfast. Vincent walked past her, eyes looking around the restaurant. The other 2 men stayed by the door, blocking it. We had some trouble yesterday. Did you hear about it? Diana's throat felt tight. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Vincent stopped and turned to face her. Because it happened right here in your restaurant. A deal went bad, very bad, and I'm trying to figure out how. Diana said nothing. Her mind raced. She thought about the card James Crawford had left on the counter. She'd hidden it in the cash drawer under the tray, where she kept the weekly money for Vincent and his crew. $200 every Monday for 2 years. It was money she could not afford. Money that should have gone to fixing the stove that only had two working spots, to fixing the roof that leaked when it rained, to buying Ethan new shoes instead of the ones that were too small. But she paid because not paying meant worse things. Broken windows, stolen food, and threats that kept her awake at night. Vincent took a step closer. See, the thing is, someone warned the biker. Someone told him it was a trap, and I need to know who. I didn't see anything, Diana said, her voice very low. I didn't ask if you saw anything, Vincent said. I asked who warned him. Diana's heart beat fast. She couldn't tell him it was Ethan. She wouldn't. I don't know. Vincent studied her face. Then he smiled slowly and coldly. You have security cameras in here? Diana's stomach felt sick. She did. Two of them. Cheap ones she'd put in after a break-in 5 years ago. She'd forgotten they were even there. I want to see the video, Vincent said. I don't have to show you anything, Diana said, but her voice shook. Vincent's smile got wider. You're right, you don't. But if you don't, I'm going to think you're hiding something, and that's going to be a big problem for you. Diana's hands shook. She thought about saying no, but she knew how Vincent was. He didn't ask twice. Fine, she whispered. She led him to the small office in the back, barely big enough for a desk. The camera system was old. She pulled up yesterday's video, her hands shaking so much she could barely use the mouse. Vincent looked over her shoulder. The time said 10:57 a.m. The camera showed James Crawford walking in and sitting down. The talk, the envelope of money, Vincent standing up and walking toward the door, and then Ethan, small and quick, moving across the floor and leaning close to James, whispering. Vincent's jaw became tight. He didn't say anything for a long time. He just watched the boy on the screen in that brave moment. That's your kid, Vincent said finally. Diana's breath caught. He didn't know what he was doing. He's 8 years old. He knew exactly what he was doing, Vincent snapped. He turned to face her. Your son cost me a lot of money yesterday. He cost me respect. And now the Bandidos bikers are watching me because of him. Please, Diana whispered. He's just a kid. Yeah, Vincent said. A kid who needs to learn to keep his mouth shut. He walked past her back into the restaurant. Diana followed, feeling panic. Ethan was still asleep in the back room. If Vincent went back there, Vincent stopped at the counter. He leaned against it like he was just a customer, but his eyes were cold. Here's how this is going to work. You have 24 hours to pack up and leave town. You, the kid, all of it gone. Diana's eyes grew wide. This is my home. I can't just... You can, Vincent said. And you will, because if you don't, I'm going to come back here and burn this place down with you in it. The words hit her like a punch. Diana felt the floor move beneath her. This restaurant wasn't just her work. It was everything. Her money, her home, the only roof she and Ethan had, the small room in the back where they slept, where she told him things would get better. Without the restaurant, she had nothing. No savings, no family, no plan. She barely made enough money to pay the bills and Vincent's weekly cut. There was no help. You can't do this, she said, her voice breaking. This place is all I have. If I lose it, then you should have thought about that before your kid put his nose where it didn't belong, Vincent said. He walked toward the door. 24 hours, Diana. Don't make me come back. The door shut behind him. The bell rang, sounding happy and mean. Diana stood frozen, staring at the empty restaurant. Her hands were still shaking. Her chest felt tight, like she couldn't breathe. She thought about the bills on her desk. The rent she owed, the people who stopped bringing food because she was late paying. She thought about Ethan and the life she'd tried to build for him in this old place. It wasn't much, but it was theirs, and now it was being taken. Ethan appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Mom, who was that? Diana looked at her son. His hair was messy. He was wearing the same shirt from yesterday. His face looked innocent, not knowing what he'd just done or what it cost them. Nobody, she lied. Get ready for school. But Ethan didn't move. He'd heard the voices and seen the men. Was it them? The men from yesterday? Diana didn't answer. She couldn't. She just turned away, holding the counter, trying not to cry. Ethan's voice was small. Did I do something bad? Diana's heart broke. She knelt in front of him and put her hands on his shoulders. No, baby, you didn't do anything bad. You were brave. Then why are you scared? Because being brave doesn't pay the bills, she wanted to say. Because the world doesn't care about 8-year-old boys who do the right thing. Because we are alone, and now we are going to lose everything. But she didn't say that. She just held him tight. The rest of the day was like a bad dream. Diana opened the restaurant, served coffee, and took orders, but her mind was somewhere else. She kept thinking about Vincent's words. 24 hours. She didn't have a car, money for a bus, or anywhere to go. She'd been here for 8 years. This place was the only steady thing they had. By the time the sun went down, she made her choice. They would leave tonight, pack what they could, and just go. Maybe to a big city where they could hide. She pulled an old bag from the closet and started filling it. Clothes, Ethan's notebooks. The only photo she had of them. Her hands moved without thinking. She was folding Ethan's jacket when she heard the sound of motorcycles outside. Her blood felt cold. She ran to the window. 3 bikes were out front. Bandidos bikers. She saw the woman with the mark, and in the middle, James Crawford. Diana wanted to lock the door and hide, but James was already walking toward the door. The bell rang. James stepped inside. Are you packing? He asked. Diana's hands were tight. How did you? I know how Vincent works, James said. He came here this morning, didn't he? Saw the cameras, threatened you. Diana said nothing. She didn't need to. James walked to the counter. What did he say? He told me to leave, Diana said quietly. 24 hours or he burns this place down. James nodded slowly like he knew it. And you believed him? Of course I believed him, Diana said, her voice getting louder. You don't know what these men can do. I've been paying them for 2 years. $200 I don't have. And if I don't pay, they break things. They scare people. And now my son is a target because he helped you. James's face didn't change. How much do you make here in a good week? Diana blinked. What? How much? I don't see why. Answer the question. Diana's jaw became tight. Maybe 600 in a very good week. Usually it is 400. And your costs? Rent is 850. Power is 200. Food is 300. And Vincent's cut. Her voice broke. By the time I pay everyone, there is barely enough to feed my son. James was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Do you know why Vincent wants you gone? Diana shook her head. Because your son made him look bad, James said. An 8-year-old kid saw his plan and stopped it. Vincent cannot let that happen. But it is not about you. It is about control. If you run, he wins. He will do this to the next person. I don't care about the next person, Diana said, her voice shaking. I care about my son, and this place is all we have. Nothing is going to happen to it, James said. But you need to trust me. I don't even know you, Diana said. No, James agreed. But your son did, and he trusted himself. Maybe you should too. Diana looked at him, looking for a sign that he was unsure. But he looked very steady. Ethan appeared in the doorway. Mr. Crawford? James turned and looked kinder. Hey, kid, are you here because of the bad men? Ethan asked. James nodded. Yeah, but don't worry. They aren't going to bother you anymore. How do you know? Because I am not going to let them, James said. Ethan looked at his mom, then back at James. Are you going to stay? James looked at Diana. That is up to your mom. Diana closed her eyes. She wanted to run and hide, but another part of her was tired of being scared and paying men like Vincent. She wanted to believe him. If I stay, she said slowly, and Vincent comes back, he will, James said, tomorrow or the day after, and we will be ready. Diana whispered, what if you are not? James met her eyes. Then you call me, and I will make sure I am. He put the same card on the counter again. Keep this close. If anything happens, you use it. Diana picked up the card. Her hands were shaking less now. James looked at Ethan. You did good, kid. Very good. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Ethan nodded with a small smile. James turned and walked out. The motorcycle started and then they were gone. Diana stood in the empty restaurant, card in her hand. She looked at Ethan. He was waiting for her to say it was okay. She took a breath. Go to bed, baby. Are we leaving? Ethan asked. Diana looked around the old restaurant. It wasn't much, but it was their home. No, she said quietly. We are staying. Ethan's face lit up. He ran and hugged her. Diana held him tight. She didn't know if she made the right choice. She didn't know if James could really protect them. But for the first time in 2 years, she felt like she wasn't alone. That night, she didn't pack. She didn't plan to run. She just tucked Ethan into bed and lay down with him. Because tomorrow, Vincent was coming back. And this time, she was not running. He didn't know that by tomorrow, everything he feared would come back. Tell me, if someone tried to take everything you own, would you run or would you stay and fight? The next morning came very fast. Diana woke up early, her heart racing. She hadn't slept. Every sound outside made her jump. She made coffee and waited. Ethan came out, rubbing his eyes. Is today the day? Diana nodded. She couldn't speak. Are the bikers coming? He asked. I don't know, Diana said. James said they would be ready, but she hadn't heard anything. She opened the restaurant at 6 Kawanas. A few regulars came in. They didn't know that in a few hours this place might become a fight. Diana poured coffee, her hands shaking. She kept looking at the clock in the door. At 10 Shane, the sound of motorcycles filled the air. Diana's chest felt tight. 6 bikes pulled up out front. Bandidos bikers. James was in the lead. He got off and walked inside. The others followed. The regulars went quiet and stared. Some left without finishing their coffee. Diana didn't blame them. James nodded at her. We need to talk. Diana followed him to a corner booth. The other bikers spread out, watching everything. The woman with the mark sat by the window. Vincent is coming today, James said. Probably at noon. That is when he likes to move, during the lunch rush. Diana's throat was dry. What are you going to do? We are going to be here, James said. When he shows up, we talk. If he wants to walk away, he walks away. If he doesn't, he stopped. We handle it. Handle it? How? Diana whispered. James leaned forward. Diana, Vincent has been doing this for 3 years. He has many businesses paying him. The police don't care. He is careful. He doesn't leave proof. Then how do you stop him? You make it not worth his time, James said. You show him that coming after you costs too much. Diana felt sick. You are talking about a fight. I am talking about making a point, James said. Vincent has 6 guys. We have more, and we have something he doesn't. What is that? A reason to be here, James said. He is here for money. We are here because your son saved my life. That matters. Diana looked at Ethan. What if someone gets hurt? Someone might, James said, but it won't be you or him. Diana wanted to believe him, but fear made it hard. One of the bikers with a beard came to the table. James, we have a problem. James stood up. What is it? 3 of Vincent's guys just pulled up. They are in a car across the street watching. James's jaw became tight. He looked at Diana. Keep the restaurant open. Act normal. Don't let them think anything is different. Trust me. Then he walked out with the others. Diana forced herself to work, to pour coffee and take orders, but her hands would not stop shaking. Outside, James crossed the street. The car didn't move. 3 men watched him. He tapped on the window. It rolled down. The driver was young. Can I help you? You're in the wrong place, James said calmly. Public street, the driver said. We can sit where we want. Sure, James said. But if you are here for Vincent, tell him we are already here and we aren't leaving. The driver stopped smiling. He looked at the other men. Vincent isn't scared of you. Good, James said. Tell him to come say that himself. The driver hesitated, then drove away fast. James watched them go. He walked back to the restaurant. Diana was holding the counter tight. What did they want? To see if we were lying, James said. Now they know we aren't. What happens now? Now we wait, James said. The minutes went by slowly. The restaurant was nearly empty. The Bandidos bikers sat quietly waiting. Diana kept wiping tables that were already clean. At 11:30, Ethan pulled on her apron. Mom, she looked down. Yes, baby. Are we going to be okay? Diana knelt and put her hands on his shoulders. She wanted to tell him everything would be fine, but Ethan knew too much. I don't know, she said. But Mr. Crawford is here to keep us safe. Ethan nodded. I'm scared. Me? Too, Diana whispered. She held him tight. At noon, the black van pulled up. Diana's heart stopped. She knew it was the same van from 2 days ago. Vincent got out with 4 men. He looked calm and confident. James stood up. The other bikers moved to the doors and windows. They didn't block anything, but they were there. Vincent pushed open the door. The bell rang. He looked around and smiled. His eyes found James. Well, this is nice, Vincent, James said. No hello? Didn't think I'd see you here, Vincent said, walking inside. His men stayed by the door. Thought you were smart enough to stay out of other people's work. This became my work when you threatened Diana and her son, James said. Vincent's smile stayed. I didn't threaten anyone. I made a suggestion. Leave town. It's better for everyone. She is not leaving, James said. That is her choice, Vincent said. He looked at Diana and Ethan. But choices have results. Yeah, James said. They do. The air in the restaurant felt very tight. The truck drivers at the counter paid and left fast. The door shut. Vincent stepped closer to James. You really want to do this for a waitress and her kid? She is not just a waitress, James said. And he is not just a kid. He saved my life. That means something. Maybe, Vincent said. But to me, it just means he put his nose where it didn't belong. And now you are doing the same. James didn't move. You have been taking money from people who can't afford it for 3 years. Nobody stopped you because it was easier to look away. And you think you are going to stop me? Vincent mocked him. I think you are going to stop yourself, James said, because you are smart enough to know when a fight is not worth it. Vincent laughed loudly. You have 6 guys, I have a whole team. You think this ends here? It does if you walk away, James said. Right now, no one gets hurt. You just leave Diana alone. Vincent's smile went away. And if I don't? James's voice dropped. Then we make sure everyone knows that Vincent Caruso couldn't beat an 8-year-old kid in a biker. Word travels fast. People will stop being scared, and your work will fall apart. For the first time, Vincent looked unsure. He looked at the bikers, at Diana and Ethan, and at James. Then he looked at his men. We're leaving, one man said. Boss, I said we're leaving, Vincent snapped. He turned to James. This is not over. Yeah, James said. It is. Vincent stared for a long time. Then he walked out. His men followed. The van drove away. The restaurant was silent. Diana's legs felt weak. She sat on a stool and held Ethan. James walked over. Are you okay? Diana looked up, crying. Is it really over? For now, James said. Vincent is not coming back here. How do you know? Because he would lose too much, James said. He will find easier targets. Diana wanted to feel relieved, but she was just tired. James called someone. It's done. She's fine. He looked at Diana. My guys will stay for a few days, but Vincent is done. Diana nodded. James looked at Ethan. You did good, kid. Ethan smiled a little. James turned to leave. Thank you, Diana said. He looked back. You don't owe me anything. Yes, Diana said, I do. James nodded and walked out. The motorcycles started and they were gone. Diana sat in her restaurant, holding her son. They had survived, and she knew this was just the start. That night, a choice would change the club forever. If you were James, would you have walked away or stayed to protect him? Like this, if you would have stayed. Diana thought it was over. For 3 days, nothing happened. The Bandidos bikers kept their word. 2 stayed nearby. On the 4th night, Diana felt she could relax. She closed at 8 and went to the back room. Ethan was asleep. She watched him. For the first time in days, he looked like a normal kid. She was brushing her teeth when she heard a loud crash. Glass breaking. Close by. Diana's heart stopped. She ran to the front. The window was broken. Glass was everywhere. A brick sat in the mess with a note. You should have left. Her stomach felt sick. She called James. He picked up fast. Diana? They came back, she said. They broke my window. There is a note. Lock yourself in the back room, James said. Don't open the door for anyone but me. James! Do it. I'm coming. The line went dead. Diana ran back. Ethan was sitting up. Mom, what was that? It's okay, baby, she lied. She locked the door and put a chair under the handle. James texted, 5 minutes, stay inside. Diana sat on the floor, holding Ethan. Vincent had not let it go. He was coming back. Outside, engines roared. Many bikes arrived. The sound was very loud. She heard boots on the ground. The Bandidos bikers were there. Then she heard Vincent's men. James's voice was loud. You made a mistake coming back. Vincent's voice was cold. You made a mistake thinking I would let this go. I'm done talking, Vincent said. Then it started. Diana heard shouting and the sound of things breaking. Ethan hid his face. Diana covered his ears, her heart beating fast. It lasted for a few minutes. The sound stopped. Sirens were far away. James texted, It's over, you're safe. She didn't believe it yet, but she walked out. The restaurant was a mess. Tables were overturned. The door was broken. James was standing there, looking tired. Vincent was on the ground with his hands behind his back. The police were there. 3 of Vincent's men were also caught. The woman with the mark walked to Diana. Are you okay? Diana nodded. Vincent is done, the woman said. The police have been looking for him for months. They just needed someone to speak up. We made sure they did. Vincent was going to jail for a long time. Diana sat down on a chair. Ethan ran to her. James walked over. I'm sorry about the place. Diana looked at the broken furniture. It's gone, she whispered. Everything is gone. No, James said. It's not. James called someone. It's done. Vincent is in jail. The place is a mess. He looked at Diana. How much to fix this? Really fix it? New windows, new stuff. I don't know. Maybe 40,000. James nodded. We will pay for it. Diana gasped. What? The club? We will fix it. All of it, James said. And when we're done, this becomes our official stop, our spot in town. I can't let you... You don't have a choice, James said kindly. Your son saved my life. You stayed when most people would run. That means something. Diana cried. I don't know what to say. Say yes, James said. Diana looked at the mess, then at Ethan. She nodded. Yes, James smiled. We start tomorrow. The police took Vincent away. The bikers helped Diana fix the windows for the night. As the sun came up, the restaurant was quiet. Diana stood outside. James was next to her. You sure? She asked. Yes, he said. Why does this matter so much? Because when I was 19, I had nothing, James said. I was sleeping outside. No one cared. Then a man gave me a job and a home. He told me I mattered. He stopped. That man was the leader of the Bandidos bikers. He is gone, but I remember what he taught me. You help people who help you. You protect those who can't protect themselves. That's the code. Diana's throat felt tight. Ethan is lucky. Yeah, James said. He is. That's why he ran to my table. He knew. James gave her a new card with the club's sign on it. If you need anything, you call. Diana took the card. I understand. James rode off into the light. Diana looked at her restaurant. It was broken but not gone, and she felt hope. 3 weeks later, the restaurant looked new. New windows, new doors, and fresh paint. New booths and a shiny counter. New machines in the kitchen. Diana stood there crying happy tears. James walked in. He'd been there every day working. What do you think? It's beautiful, she whispered. 42,000, James said. The club chipped in. Diana shook her head. I can never pay you back. You already did, James said. Your son saved my life. This is us returning the favor. Diana touched the counter. What happens now? Now you open, James said. This is our spot. We will bring many customers. Diana looked at him. And Vincent? 10 years, James said. He's done. Diana felt a deep relief. It's over. Yeah, James said. Ethan ran in. Mom, there's a new TV and a couch in the back. Diana laughed. James grinned. Thought you needed a place to rest. Diana looked at the man who fixed her life. Thank you. James nodded. You're family now. He walked out. Diana stood with Ethan, feeling safe for the first time in years. She was no longer an outsider. 1 year later, the restaurant was full. Every booth was taken. Truckers, locals, and bikers were all there. It smelled like coffee and bacon. The new neon sign was bright. Diana moved through the room with a smile. She looked lighter and happy. She didn't worry as much. 6 months ago, she bought a small house. It had a yard and a porch for Ethan. The restaurant made it possible. Business was very good. Bikers from other clubs came too. Diana had hired more help. She paid off her debts. She didn't pay protection money anymore. The only protection she needed was the Bandidos bikers. She wiped the counter as the door opened. James walked in with Rachel and others. Ethan was with them. He was 9 now and looked happy. He wore a small leather vest with a special sign on the back, "The kid who saved a life." Ethan ran to her. "Mom, look." Diana touched the sign. "It's perfect, baby." James said, "I am a special member," Ethan said with pride. James nodded. "You earned it." Diana looked at James. "Thank you." James sat down. He listened to Ethan talk about school. James treated Ethan like he was important. Diana watched them with a full heart. A year ago, she was alone and afraid. Now she was living. Later that day, she stepped outside. James joined her. "You ever think about that day?" she asked. "Every time I walk in here," James said. "I would be dead if he didn't warn me." "And we would be on the street," Diana said. "But you aren't," James said. "You're safe." "Why did you do it?" "Because someone did it for me," James said. "And your son showed me what courage looks like. That is worth protecting." Diana's throat was tight. "He looks up to you." "I'm trying to do right by him," James said. Diana smiled. "You already are." Inside, Ethan was with the bikers. They were teaching him a game. He was laughing and having fun. Rachel messy his hair. "You're not good at this." "I'm getting better," Ethan laughed. James sat with Ethan. "You good?" Ethan nodded. James thought about how far they had come. They were a family now, built on trust and staying together. Diana came back inside. She looked at Ethan and felt happy. She had a community and a future. Ethan smiled at her. James raised his cup. "To the kid and the woman who trusted us." Everyone raised their cups. Diana cried happy tears. Outside, the sun went down. The neon sign was bright. The restaurant was full of warmth. Diana looked at her life and her son. Ethan had whispered to a biker, and the biker had whispered back, "You're not alone." Sometimes the people who save others are the ones who need saving most. And he finally found home. If this story touched you, subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. You're part of this family now.